I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade. Talking to they grip in the face, be still, let that hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel big from the dip. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense. Cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the check.
What's good, everyone? It's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be taking a look at the performance review of the Anta Kai 2. So without further ado, let's take a look at this shoe and see how it performs. All right, so I will say this right off the bat. I have played in the ones now, the one speed, and now the twos, and this is absolutely my favorite out of the bunch. I've spent around 12 hours in this shoe, and there's a lot to like, especially at the price point of, I believe, 120 or 125 USD, 160 here in Canada. I think you're getting a great bang for your buck basketball shoe right here. And that starts off with the traction pattern. Now you have this very aggressive kind of tribal print here at the bottom. It does wrap up on the medial side and on the lateral side right here. As far as how they perform on court, on clean and or dirty floors, these are fantastic. They have a very loud squeak, which is not a performance factor, but I do like a little bit of feedback within my basketball shoes. On dirty floors, you will have to wipe every so often to maintain that really nice bite. On clean floors, these are like an absolute 10 out of 10. As far as bringing these outdoors, the rubber compound is a solid rubber outsole, and it is pretty soft, but the grooves are pretty deep on this traction pattern here. As you know, Kyrie is very shifty. He kind of improvises depending what the defender does on him, and he just needs something with ultimate coverage, and that's exactly what you're getting right here. I could make all of my movements on court, whether there was dust or debris, it did not matter, and this outsole here did a fantastic job. So that's why these are going to score a very solid 9.5 out of 10. The durability is pretty good. It's wearing away a little bit here on the medial side, but overall this is almost a perfect setup. One of the best, whether it's from his Nike or Anta line. This is a great setup for traction. Now, as far as the cushioning goes within the shoe, it is a nitro foam based setup. I believe it's full length, and if you pull the insole out, it's a pretty comfy insole right here with this foam. As you can see right here, it has a nice print on top, and you can see the netting right here, and right through that netting is the nitro foam itself. Now the midsole is kind of like a Phylon carrier right here. It houses that nitro foam with inside of it. This adds some stability side to side. If it was just that nitro foam, this would be a lot more tippy from side to side, but directly under the insole, as I said, you get that full length bed of nitro foam. It's very plush in the heel, pretty bouncy. I enjoy this setup in the heel. In the forefoot, it is like ridiculously close to the floor. Not as much bounce or like compression underfoot in the forefoot. So if you really like that court feel up front, look no further, because this is the shoe for you. But if you need a bit more of a plush setup from heel to toe, keep that in mind. You're not going to get it up front, but the heel to toe transition is very natural. I enjoyed this setup, and honestly, for a $125 shoe, I think these are a very nice option for most players, especially guards and shooting guards that want to stay close to the floor with a bit of a bounce under their step. I think this is a great option with that nitro infused foam compound housed within this shoe. Again, I enjoyed it, and I think you will too if you like a close to the floor feeling basketball shoe. And that's why these are going to score a pretty solid 8.5 out of 10. Really nothing crazy, but if you liked his first shoe and or the Anta Kai 1 Speed, I think you'll like these as well. Now, as far as the fit goes on this shoe, I went true to size with my normal size 10.5, and my toe is right near the end of the shoe, almost touching the end of the shoe. But I will say that this shoe is pretty wide foot friendly. It breaks in very quickly. You get a ton of padding at the back of the shoe and on the tongue right here. The tongue is gusseted from the midway point all the way down, and it's just a very snug and secure fitting shoe. I had no movement with inside the shoe. It's a very supportive basketball shoe, but I just really enjoyed the fit right off the bat. I put these on, they're very close to the floor, very nicely padded, and they just really hug your foot nicely. And not to mention, those laces are super wide, and when you crank them down, they just kind of suction your foot within the back of the shoe. It's a wild setup with these laces. So overall, the fit is nice and secure. If you like about a thumb's width at the end of your shoe, I would recommend going up half a size. Otherwise, these will be like a straight jacket on your foot. And that's a good thing because there's no movement within the shoe. And it's just a very snug fitting basketball shoe, which I like. I like a one-to-one fitting shoe, kind of like a sock. And that's exactly what I got within these with my true to size. And that's why these are gonna score a very nice 9 out of 10 as far as the fit goes. Now, as far as the materials go on this shoe, that has to be one of my favorite parts of the shoe in general. I know there's a ton of different colorways that utilize a bunch of different materials, but I believe this one's called Artist or Artistry on Court. You are getting a ton of raw materials like back in the day. I believe this is more of like a synthetic nubuck material, but it just very nice in hand and on foot. Once they break in, they really conform to your foot very nicely. At the back of the shoe, you do have this TPU external counter with some stitching and some more nubuck, and then everything else riding throughout this shoe right here is kind of like a nubuck or felt material. And like I said, it just feels very nice on foot. It's not very breathable. You know, there is some perforations throughout this shoe right here that offer a little bit of airflow, but overall the materials, in my opinion, are like a superb 9 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's like super premium, but it definitely has that look and feel in hand. And I think that's a great thing because most basketball shoes nowadays are like that screen TPU mesh, which is great for lightweight and breathability, but I think it's very fresh and very nice to have some old school materials on some colorways. And that's exactly what you get on this one right here. You get a ton of embroidery and just great looking materials. And like I said, I just really enjoy these in hand and on foot. And that's why they're gonna score a very solid 9 out of 10. Now, as far as the support goes with this shoe, this is a very supportive basketball shoe, all things considered. You know, I'm in my mid to late 30s now. I need a shoe that's gonna be supportive underfoot, and that's gonna cause me no issues on court when I'm making my movements. I don't want to think about my movements. I just want to make them and know that the shoe is going to hold me down. And that's exactly what you get with the Anta Kai 2s. Now, at the back of the shoe, you do have a very rigid internal heel counter right here, which really locks your foot down at the back of the shoe. And then you have this external TPU counter at the back as well, an added extra layer of support at the back. You have a gusseted tongue that really draws your foot into the back of the shoe and keeps everything snug and secure. On the side of the shoe, you do have this rubber portion and this midsole that does wrap up the side of your shoe. So when you're making hard lateral cuts, you're actually seated housed within this midsole to the point where this is kind of keeping you housed. You have the laces that are very wide as well. So if you really crank these laces down, it's one of the most snug and secure fitting shoes I've worn in a very long time. At the bottom of the shoe, you have a pretty wide and stable base. Not quite an outrigger right here on the lateral side, but it's just very wide in the forefoot to the point where it feels very secure. And then underneath the insole, you do have a really long TPU shank plate, which offers great torsional rigidity and support as a midfoot while still maintaining really nice and easy forefoot flex in this shoe. So all things considered, every time I made a lateral cut, a step back, really kind of chasing down a ball, this shoe had me covered with support. And that's a good thing because like I said, I don't want to think about the support within a basketball shoe. Similar to the Nike Jaw 3s, with that upper, when I make hard lateral cuts, my foot tips over on that really thin mesh upper, and I don't like that feeling. I just want to go and hoop and not have to think about my movements, and that's exactly what I get within this basketball shoe, and that's why the support's going to score a very nice 9 out of 10. Now, as far as the weight goes for this hoop shoe, again, these are a US size 10.5, and these come in at 15.565 ounces. So all things considered, this is kind of an average weight for my size 10.5 within basketball shoes. So that's going to do it for today's performance review on the Anta Kai 2s. I'm very much looking forward to what the brand is going to do with his 3s. I've loved the 1s, the 1 speed, and now the 2s. I just love what they're doing with these raw materials. Obviously, you're getting very much that kind of like tribal look and print running throughout. I think this is a great hoop shoe at a great price. I believe $125 USD, $160 here in Canada. A great value, bang for your buck basketball shoe. But like I said, that's going to do it for today's video on the Anta Kai 2s. Sound off in the comments if you guys have tried a pair out, if you're planning on trying a pair out. And I think you can grab these on sale right now on most websites. And I think it's a great hoop shoe for a great price. Even if you just want to hoop with these outdoors, I think it's a great option from the brand. But as always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would really help the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.